ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the long-awaited series that I have been toiling at for God knows how long. Welcome to the pilot episode of How Combat Effective Is It?
Well, we're waiting.
Now, this series, unlike most, is going to actually look at the combat effectiveness of the mask, and yes, the mask is in this bag. We're going to get to that in a second, and I have these gloves on to kind of illustrate, to try and direct your eyes to, of course, the things. Huh! Anyway.
On with it. Yes, get on with it!
I've been putting this off for so long now that really we have to get into it. So, let's actually get into this, shall we? Starting off with, of course, the first mask that I actually have somewhat on camera and I actually got to test out a good portion of. It is, of course, the Soviet GP-5, the gas mask that is used by many, and is a very popular choice for anarchists.
Of course!
We're going to get to that in a second. Anyway, let's get into this, shall we? The GP5, or the and forgive me for my Russian, mind you, I'm not very good at it, the Graziedansky Protivogaz number 5 is a Soviet-made single filter, one filter going in the front, as you could have seen, gas mask that was issued to the civilian population starting in 1962. The production ended in 1990. However, with the Chinese and everyone and their mother, the GP5 design is still technically being made. So we'll just go ahead and put an asterisk by that. Ended in 1990. It is a lightweight mask weighing about 2.42 pounds. It can operate in all weather conditions and withstand temperatures from -40 degrees, which is damn. But then again, it's Russia. Russia's very fucking cold. The GP5 also comes with a sealed glass eyepieces. Now, they were originally made to protect the wearer from radioactive fallout during the Cold War, which in reality, kind of depending on what kind of radiation we're talking here, because that's kind of fucked up. And were distributed to most fallout shelters. They have been tested in Poland to see if they have NBC protective capabilities. Raises a lot of questions. It was concluded that the mask will last in an NBC situation for 24 hours. Again, I'd like to know how. How did you test that? Raising a lot of questions, especially the possibility of human testing, question mark? They are a favorite of gas mask collectors because they are common and have the old circular eyepieces, like masks used in World War II, and the helmet-type mask. The GP5 kit consists of a SHM62 facepiece, which is the mask itself, the GP5 filter, which, by the way, that sumbitch contains asbestos. Don't use it.
Dumbass!
And besides, it's out of date. It's not useful. At all. The GP5 filter, the bag, and anti-fog lenses, which we will talk about. The GP5 kit also can be completed, SHM62U, SHMP, SHM-62MU face pieces. You know, there's a lot. There's a fucking lot there. So, yeah, that's the history of the mask. Let's get back to the regular video. Now that we've gotten a little bit caught up on the history of it, as well as a few things, let's actually talk about the mask itself and what you actually get when you actually do get the GP5, or if you want to start collecting gas mask in of itself. So, what is the GP5 and what does it consist of? Well, the GP5 kit consists of one very nice bag that honestly you could use for ammo or even just carrying around, because this is a satchel. It's not a purse. It is a satchel. Thank you very much. And inside the satchel, not a purse, is of course the mask itself. The mask consists of latex. Now this particular mask is from 1972, let me be correct on that, yes, 1972 to 1984. Now a nice little fun fact about this mask is when you actually see the size of it, which is right here, this is a medium mask, and you see that nice little Y right there, that means the mask has been improved in a way. So this down, and we'll talk about the second item inside. Well, yes, the second item, because there are 3 items in the mask unless you buy another combo, which means there's a 4th item, but we'll get to that in another video when we get there. Set that to the side. Inside the bag, of course, is the second item, which, of course, is the filter that I do not recommend you use, because guess what? It's got asbestos. It is, of course, the GP5 filter, which is in that lovely Soviet green that only the Soviets can do. BT dubs, this one's dated 1948. Yeah, if it ain't the asbestos, it's gonna kill you. It's gonna be the fact that this thing is basically horribly outdated. I do not recommend you use these, even if you're suicidal. I don't recommend you use these things, because believe me, I don't want you to die. I don't want people watching this thinking, oh, hey, yeah, these are safe to use, and die. I don't want the police knocking at my door. Again. Long story. So, let's go ahead, wrap this back up in its Soviet-style paper. I believe this is wax paper. I believe it is. Might be wax paper. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go ahead and set this off to the side. And, of course, the third item in the list, or at least in the kit, is this. A little tin that has... Look at me dropping things. Has these. These are these are plastic lens that you actually pop inside the lens of the mask that basically help you with anti-fogging issues. Now, you might have to trim them up, because I know I had to trim mine up, just cutting out a little bit so they actually fit inside the lens, but that's me, not you, so let's move on. Now, moving on to the bag itself, the bag is actually rather nice, and if you have, say, a couple AR mags, that'll fit in there. Say you got some Thompson mags, because why not? Those will fit in there. Or hell, let's say you got yourself your nice Kalashnikov and you got to take off that magazine and you got to store it in here. Let's see. It'll fit in there and still got room. You want more? Well, okay. Let's say you want to store your Jericho. Okay, there's your Jericho. It'll fit in there. What won't it fit? Well, let's take a look. Well, let's try and fill this thing up, shall we? Let's say your Jericho's not enough. You want your Derringer, okay? Derringer will fit in there. Derringer's not enough, you say? Don't worry. Have your trusty 1911. I am not joking, guys. There's still room in this bag. I could fit a lot more. Believe me, I could. But in reality, the bag's good. And it has 2 pouches there for whatever. But yeah, this bag, it'll fit a lot of stuff in it. Let's go with that. But, moving on. Now, the mask itself is actually, again, rather nice. One big one-piece latex, and of course the joke that I know Apex has already made. It is the mask that you wear in case you want to eat out that Chernobyl pussy.
Oh my.
Excuse me, what?
Ha ha ha. Let's be serious now.
You serious?
Now, for airsofters, I know you're immediately asking, okay, Al, how are you going to protect the lens? Because unlike the modern GP5 iterations, I'm not joking on this, there are Chinese factories still producing Chinese-made GP5s, and they're not as good as this, because the little XL valve here likes to get stuck. Which, speaking of which, let's go ahead and go over the actual mask itself. Here's your intake, here's your outtake, here's the lens, and this whole entire circle piece right here is actually your face mask itself that actually helps protect you from God knows what. Now, here's the fun thing. This will take NATO filters, or at least the ones that I've found work is the Israeli filter. You don't know what an Israeli filter is? Well, don't worry, jackass, this is where I come into place. I have 2 filters. The black one here is, of course, a Russian ABEC filter, meaning it is rated for all MBC, biological, nuclear, what have yous, and an Israeli filter that is outdated from the 90s. This one, however, is a compromised filter, so we're not going to be using this for the test. Sadly, we have to use the outdated one because, well, that's the only filter we got, and really we don't got the budget to buy an in-date filter. Unless you in the Gasmask community would like to send me an in-date filter for testing, then by all means, please do. Now, to get you acquainted with threading. This filter here has what is called a 40mm GOST threading. This is what GOST threading looks like, and it will fit in the mask. Now, the cool thing about Russian filters is that they have what is known as double threading, a male and female connection. Here we go. This now connects into the mask. And what I mean by male and female connection, which means you can basically do this. This has threading on the bottom, meaning that we can take our Israeli filter, right here we go, and screw it, giggity,
Oh my.
into the Russian filter, giving us double protection. Would we? No, that's ridiculous. This is where that fourth item comes into play. That fourth item, of course, being a hose. Now, this is a 40mm GOST hose. It has an intake, outtake, what have you. And the way you would do it, and I'm not even joking here, this is how they would do it, or at least what I've been what I've read from some of my Russian friends would do, is you would take the intake section. Let's put the Israeli filter over here to the side real quick. You would take this side, and you would screw it in, like so. Then you take the other side, and you screw in the Israeli filter. And voila! Double the filtering power! Would you? I don't think so. And in reality would not be that combat effective. Oh, BT dubs, for anyone asking if I used the hose for the test, no I did not. I just did what I was about to do now. But let's go ahead and get everything set up for the actual, well, for the next setting. Now I hear you asking, Al, how did you protect the lens? Well, actually a very simple fix. You just go ahead and get it set up like this. Now, this is a simple hack that will work. However, many others have said that you can protect the lens by many ways. If you haven't seen my video yet on ways to protect gas mask lens, and even the video of where I actually tested this method with a 700 FPS pistol, a CO2 pistol, I recommend you go watch those. I'm going to be too lazy not to even find the links for them. Either way. So, what you do is you actually modify these to where the round lens will just simply pop in. Go. And voila. And the best part is, this will not compromise the seal of the mask, where you can actually still be protected. Now, for the actual shooting test, I had to shoot with the mask, with these off, with basically an AR-15. Or at least a AR-15 Airsoft Springer, because at the time I couldn't exactly go out with my friends and actually shoot real steel. However, I will be, the next shooting test I do with the gas mask will have a real steel weapon attached, so it should be fun. Either way, though. Now, this method does work. You can see a dent in the lens where the 700 FPS pistol made it, and in reality, these work very well. Now, you're probably asking, what's communication like in it? Because this is where things actually fall into play. Can you talk with the mask on?
Seashell, by the seashore. Peter Piper, pickle, peppers. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling, Clementine. Seashell, by the seashore. Peter Piper, pickle, peppers. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling, Clementine. Can you hear me all right, folks? Because if not, this is the communication. I am literally yelling in the mask. Now, my visual sight is this. This is as much as I'm seeing, folks. Now, let's get to the physical test.
Раз, это хардбас, все спортивку Адидас. И на Найке пацаны, слушаем хардбас басы. Этот стайл любимый, ждет все в ритме колбасы. 150 ударов тут, пацаны спортивка ждут. Это школа колбасы, веселее, пацаны. Раз, это хардбас, все спортивку Адидас. И на Найке пацаны.
I'm going to tell you now, the airflow restriction, especially with the filter on, it's not great. Don't get me wrong, you are going to get a constricted airflow coming in and out, but Jesus Christ. The way the mask is designed, it is claustrophobic as fuck. Now, you heard me earlier saying this is a friend to anarchist. Well, yes. Sadly, in recent history, the GP5 has become a symbol of anarchist, as well as anti-government militants, and a few others, including our favorite little soy boys, ANTIFA. Excuse me, I didn't mean to call them by that name. I mean our little communist brown shirts used by the liberal communist Democrat Party.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man!
Don't believe me? Here's a photo of one of those fucks at the Portland rally. And just to hammer it home, here's a little bit of a photo montage of the GP5 around the world being used by rioters, even in Venezuela, being used by anti-government guerrillas, which I wish them luck to tear down their communist overlords. Now, I know you're probably going to ask this, but does the mask work with hats and things like that? Well, yes. Yes, it does. It's designed more or less to go completely over the head, but be low profile enough to basically be worn with a helmet, or hat, or ushanka. So, yeah. And shouldering it, well, you're going to see from the firing test and then the combat footage. And then we'll get back to the final conclusion. Also, I am sorry if this video was a bit long. This is a first, and I'm going to try and see what I can do in the future to make the videos a little shorter, but it's going to be a long one, guys. Alright, here we go! Now, I know a lot of you are immediately going to be asking how I actually rate, in this new show of mine, how I rate mask. Well, here's the thing. I rate the mask like this. It is either effective, semi-effective, or not at all. Effective means the mask in its entirety works overall and works extremely well and is effectively combat effective. And is one that I can safely say you can use in combat. Semi-effective means it's definitely effective but has some issues that need to be discussed. And then, well, not at all is the mask is a completely total failure. Why the hell did they even make this mask? And in reality, I don't recommend it for either prepping, survival, or even combat. But with the GP5, there's an interesting caveat. Before we get into it, let me just go ahead and tell you this now, that the GP5 in of itself was a Soviet-designed mask. And while, yes, there is still modern iterations of it that now come with polycarbonate lens, things like that, there is a caveat to it. If you're going to use this mask, your vision is going to be extremely limited, and you're only going to be good for maybe straight and somewhat down. Looking side to side, or at least having your blind spots, is not great, because guess what? This mask is going to constrict you to where your blind spots are not even seen. In the most literal sense, like this. These are your blind spots, and the mask completely just increases them by 20, basically. Even the filter will hit the rifle a bit, because the filter is right there in the way, or not in the way, it's just right there. So the possibility of you actually hitting it is definitely going to be a little worse. Now, when using pistols and things like that, no problem. But when shouldering a weapon, that's where things are going to be a bit more interesting. Now, of course, with AR-15s, you definitely do still have a good line of sight. But because you're doing it like this, and this right here, there's a blind spot right here that's going to cause your aim to be a little bit more constricted and be more or less, I don't have the word for it, but you guys probably do, but you understand what I'm trying to convey to you. While, yes, you can shoulder a weapon and use the sights, you're going to be more or less at a sentry-style positioning for fighting, meaning you are going to stay in one spot, or you are going to be positioned for just straight ahead. Meaning everything ahead of you is where you're going to be most effective at shooting or acquiring a target. Everything coming from your flank on either the left or the right, you're going to have a teammate on to cover your flanks and even your six. Because the mask extremely just cuts off your vision and even your perception. If you're claustrophobic or allergic to latex, this mask is definitely going to cause a little bit more issues with you. Not only that, but even though the mask does have thin membrane right here where the ears are, hearing is extremely impaired to basically like this. I mean, yes, you can still technically hear someone, but to a degree it's going to sound muffled and you're going to have to ask them, what? So yeah, in the end, what do I rate this mask? The Soviet GP5. A civilian mask that is a popular choice for anti-government guerrillas forces, ANTIFA, communists, people who basically feel oppressed. In the most literal sense, a freedom fighter, terrorist, guerrilla gas mask that was originally made by the communists to save its citizens in case of nuclear war. How effective is it? It does take 40mm NATO filters, or at least the Israeli one that has the short threading. It still is able to shoulder, you're still able to shoulder and have a good point of view on the weapon, and you still can hit targets, but this is the caveat. You're going to have to work in a team of 2 or 3 in order to be able to make sure that your teammates cover your flanks and your 6. Because in reality, when you put this mask on, you better hope you're a gunner put in one position, or you better hope you're fighting forward and not in a vertical or horizontal war. In a basic sense, guys, this mask is semi-effective. It does the job it needs to, but it does constrain you in your combat abilities. But it's still a good mask to start out with, and the fact that it's only $10 is also a nice caveat. So yes, you can buy these masks for survival, or you can buy them to start out with in collecting, or even for getting ready to fight in gas mask in case you live in a very heavy riot-inducing area where you know tear gas is going to get thrown. Anyway. Thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al. And the next mask we take a look on how combat effective was voted by you, and of course the veterans watching this channel. It is the gag mask. The Czech M10M cheek filter mask M17 copy. Now I understand why the veterans were the biggest voters for this mask. They want me to suffer like they did through basic. Till next time.